You are listening to the superfreakmedia Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, please be sure to show your support and follow us on our other social media platforms. Check out the links listed in the description of this episode to find out more. Thank you.
I mean, he does physically piss on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so, I mean, I was out.
And without consent!
Hello and welcome to the Their Queer Podcast, a podcast where two homos called Liam solve some mysteries, find some gay shit.
Yeah, that's what we do, essentially.
And this week, we do it with friends.
We do. We've got our own Scooby Gang on this episode.
Zoinks!
We are joined by the wonderful Kyle and Daisy from the Bitchcraft and Faggotry podcast. Hey, how are you guys? How you doing?
Hello.
Hello!
We
Nice one, Kyle!
Come on, guys, this should be the easy bit.
just like genuine
like,
ability to even have a conversation.
Illiterate!
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's it. We're done. So that's their involvement done on the podcast.
Yeah.
They're going to leave now.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Follow me on Instagram.
Thank you both so much for coming on.
Yes, of course.
I love the name of your podcast so much. I think I just love saying it, and I love telling people that you're being on, because people are like, what did you just call me?
Anyone we've got in our lives that's queer is like, yeah, this is brilliant. Like, thank you so much for doing it. But our straight friends almost piss themselves every single time they hear it. Just sort of gently tiptoe around the name, like, oh, the B.
The B&F pod, isn't
The B&F pod, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, both of our podcasts contain a slur in there, so we're doing well.
Yeah! Gay rights!
We just need like Batty Boy R Us next or something like that.
Everyone at home, write in with your offensive podcast names.
Yeah.
Please. We'll do a poll on Instagram. The winner gets...
Nothing.
I don't know.
Hate
Absolutely
crimes.
nothing,
The winner
yeah.
gets hate crimes.
Reported to the police.
Tell you what, I will sign this water bottle. I'm holding up an basically empty water bottle. I will sign it, and you can have that. And it's got my DNA on it. You're welcome.
Amazing. Well,
Anyway.
Yeah.
Did that cover it?
Anyway, bye guys.
Liam, I think this was a mistake.
So, this episode, we are discussing all things Scooby and all things Doo.
Scooby Dooby Doo!
We'll be looking at the two live-action films starring the goddess herself, Sarah Michelle Gellar, amongst others. So, before we do that, I thought if you two just let us know a little bit more about your podcast and what horror means to you.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, no
Absolutely.
pressure at
3,
all.
2, 1, go.
Basically, I guess sort of what we were talking about before we came on was like our sort of styles between the two of us, because you guys are quite well structured from what I gather from your podcast.
It's an illusion.
From what I gather from the editing, you're very well structured. And we are just like bottle chaos that someone has spilled on the floor. There's no real
Literally
way to...
in the last episode.
Me when I dropped that bottle of lemonade all over my desk, that's the podcast.
That is our podcast.
And I left it for my mum to clean up because I was too drunk. I was so drunk, I like just left it and then woke up and I was like, oh shit.
I'm gonna get out of
Yeah.
here. Bye.
Essentially, we are the Bitchcraft and Faggotry podcast, which we use for political reasons, because giving power to words for people to use against you, frankly. And yeah, we essentially just invite our friends on, talk some shit, and
Get very drunk. Get extremely drunk.
and just every so often we also have serious chats about issues, and that's us pretty much. It's a very chilled out atmosphere. We don't like to put too much uniformity onto it, I suppose, in terms of this how it goes. And yeah, we just have a good time. We have a good time and talk about ourselves.
I personally love it. I think
Egocentric.
it's great. I think you guys just make me laugh because it's literally just like listening to two friends just having a whale of a time with alcohol and queer issues. So I mean, what's not to love?
I have to listen to you at home because if I do listen to you out in public, people do think I'm a crazy person. Just walking around, just being like.
I do that anyway. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. I just want to...
Can I just please get a waffle?
Please get a waffle. Just like slamming Carl's head on the
So I suppose where did the podcast start for like you guys? Because I know obviously it's fairly recent that it's launched. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, did you always want to do it, or how did it come about?
Yeah. So we used to live together, for anyone who doesn't know, and we've kind of always talked about doing something together, but it is quite difficult to, because we also study together.
Yeah.
So like we were studying together and then we were living together, and then to do something together as well, it's just a bit like too much.
It's too much. Excuse me, it's too much.
Yeah. And also because we were then working and studying and then sort of trying to like do other things, it's difficult to kind of have the time to do something. So we've always spoken about doing it, and we did kind of decide that podcast would be quite fun. I think Kyle actually kind of came up with the name, and we would, had a few ideas, but that was the one that sort of settled. And it has been, we want to say as well, like it has been used before, as we've said before, in other queer media, but that was just the one that stuck in terms of like a podcast name. Yeah. And then, I was in Morrison's in December, and we'd just come back from living together, like we'd just moved out. And then, we were talking about doing it much later on, and then we kind of just decided, actually, do you know what? Let's just do it, and see what happens. And it was always going to be, we did it in the new year, because it was like new year, new start, new podcast kind of thing. Yeah. And also gave us like a good kind of month or so to prepare. So it's been maybe a few years in the making, but properly it took about a month, and we were like, right, that'll do.
We're doing it now.
That's right. Done now.
When in Morrison's.
Honestly, I was by the biscuits and I was like, you know what,
time for a change.
you know what could be better than these Fox's chocolate crunches? A podcast.
Wow, the epiphanies you have just sound incredible.
Honestly. Chocolate crunch, like Oreo, or podcast.
So I was at York at the weekend, and we were having a discussion about like what's the supreme biscuit, and I said it would be a chocolate covered malted milk, because I think they are just the best biscuit that's ever. I really want to get sponsored, so McVitie's or Fox's, if you're listening.
I want Premier Inn. This is something else. Like,
what
I'm
is
not
with
joking.
that?
I don't. I cannot.
No, but you don't understand.
We'll come back to the bit.
The upcoming episodes we have is just because we've had to film in bulk because Daisy's travelling, and she is now going to mention that every episode for the next 6 months.
Well, I'm trying to get an endorsement by Kelly Rowland at the moment, so I'm.
I just want it. So I used to have a thing on my bucket list where I wanted to steal an iron from a Premier Inn.
Okay.
I don't know why. I couldn't tell you, and then we had a conversation about it, and then I made a fake advert with me in it as Lenny Henry, and then that's it.
This took a turn.
That's it, really.
And now the ball is in their court.
Go for that, what you will. Back to biscuit.
Amazing. So you're travelling at the moment, so like you're literally joining us from Korea at the moment. What time is it where you are right now?
It is 4 a.m.
Get on me.
I can't.
She would if she could. But thank you so much for joining us. I know you said that you're out there obviously to learn a bit more about the culture and the language and all things like that. I'm trying to think if there's like a famous horror phrase that you could say in Korean. I'm just going to put you on the spot. What's your favourite scary movie in Korean?
My favourite scary movie in Korean? As in, like, how to say it in Korean?
Yeah, so, like, if you were a Korean ghost face.
Korean ghost face.
Korean ghost face.
As in, how to say, what is your favourite?
I was going to say, surely the title will be the same in Korea.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, to be honest with you, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't really watch a lot of...
Daisy, you're there.
What?
It's too late. You can't learn anymore now.
Yeah, no, that's
Right,
it.
I know it's 4 a.m, but pop your head out the window and shout into the street.
What's my favourite horror movie in Korea? Well, I don't really watch like Korean horror movies. Like, I'm more like watch Korean like dramas and stuff.
I
Why
can
are you
imagine the
laughing at me?
drama is there.
Daisy, how do you say the line in Korean?
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for translating. Thanks for translating the English that I'm
sorry.
trying to get the Korean
Jesus.
from.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
Fucking
4
hell.
a.m. It would be let me think. 가장 좋아하는 스릴러, no, horror, because thriller is thriller. horror 영화를 뭐예요?
Sweet.
Really
I
had
feel-
to think
I feel
because my
cultured
brain
as
is in English.
Let me
For
ask you
Korean
guys,
listeners.
was it worth it?
Do you
Was
know
it
what?
worth all of that?
It was a slug.
This is going to be a long slog, this life for me.
But we got there.
I could have said anything
To be
then.
fair,
You
if
probably did.
If Ghostface was doing that, I'd just be like,
I should have just said that.
Amazing. Yeah, literally, that was what I was expecting. You just was ours. Wow.
So, Daisy, you were saying you don't really... Do you not just watch horror in general? But were you getting onto that?
Oh, this is awkward. No, I do.
Hate horror. Hate
No,
horror.
I do. I was saying I don't watch because I got confused with the question because I want to say it is 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So my brain's not quite here. I don't watch like Korean horror movies. At least I haven't really yet. I more watch like Korean dramas because I've watched them to kind of help me with like language learning.
Yeah.
I do watch horror movies, but the ones that I watch tend to have been with Kyle. And
Nice.
we both like different movies because Kyle likes like gore. Kyle likes sort of horror. I like ghosts. Kyle doesn't
Yeah,
like ghosts, and
I
I
love
don't
ghosts.
like. So we like
Ghosts are
the
the best.
opposite horror movies. So the only one we've agreed on is all of the Scary Movie films and the Slender Man movie.
Wow.
Okay.
Can't wait
It
for
was
this
shit.
episode. I think Korea has some really decent horror films. You should definitely check them out while you're there.
Train to Busan
does.
is...
Yes.
Mwah, just
Yeah.
beautiful.
I need to watch Train to Busan because I just haven't. But Gong Yoo is in it, lead character.
Is he the hot one?
He's the hot one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
I only know people if they're hot now.
Yeah, me too.
Why not? There was a great film that we caught at Mayhem last year, which is a film festival that's held in Nottingham here in England, called Night Shift. So if you do find it somewhere in Korea, I definitely recommend checking it out because it's very much more of the spooky variety as opposed to blood and gore. So I
love ghosts.
You might enjoy that. But
I'll have a look up for it.
speaking of spooky, shall we get on to the topic at hand?
Oh yeah, we might as well.
Might as well, yeah. While we're here.
We've been looking at, as we said earlier, the 2 live-action Scooby Doo films, which I think, and I'll go on record to say this, and you can etch this on my tombstone, I think these films are 2 of the most perfectly cast films ever existed. We've got Sarah Michelle Gellar being just the perfect Daphne, and then Freddie Prinze Jr., who I never found Fred hot until these films, and he, oh my god, I'm not going to mention anyone else. I'm just going to get right. This is now a Freddie Prinze Jr. podcast.
Freddie!
God damn, this happens every podcast episode, but no, I completely agree. It is cast so well. I mean, personally, my favourite, and we'll get onto it, is obviously I love Daphne, but Velma. Linda Cardellini as Velma is just chef's kiss. She is beautiful.
Yeah.
She is everything I need in Velma. And
Or
I
as
mean,
me and Kyle call her the woman from Legally Blonde.
The lady with
when
the
we
perm.
forgot her name.
the lady with the perm, and of course Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard as Shaggy has
love of my life.
has no right being that incredible. Like he knocked it out of the park with that. So before we get into the actual meat of it all, I thought it'd be nice if we do what we usually do and we all discuss how we first came about watching these. So with myself, it was just simple that I was the target audience at the time. I was a kid who was already into Scooby Doo and into hot men.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
So I was like, okay. But I remember going to see both of these in the cinema. And begging my mum if I could go and see the first one again and again. Mainly because I remember the cinema was silent and everyone was watching it. As soon as Rowan Atkinson came on, I was like, there's Mr. Bean!
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Oh dear. So you were aware of Scooby-Doo, obviously, the animated series and stuff before you saw the live action?
Because there was the live action, and then around the same time, What's New Scooby-Doo came out that had the best theme tune.
What's new Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you. You're gonna solve that mystery. I see you, Scooby-Doo. The trail leads back to you. What's new Scooby-Doo?
So good.
Yeah.
Love a good theme tune. Love a good theme.
Imagine if that came on at the club.
Oh my days.
Have you not seen concerts the band's done and they start playing that song and the entire crowd just loses their mind?
Yes.
I would absolutely go apeshit 100%.
Not to steal a phrase from Drag Race, but I would be swiffering the floor with my taint. When that song came on.
Popping your
Popping my I'd be like sliding down into a split, popping my like Laganja motherfucking Estranja.
Okay.
What's your Scooby-Doo?
So
that should be a lip sync song, 100%. Can you imagine?
Yes.
Oh wow! I think the lip sync to Things That Go Bump in the Night is well overdue.
Right. Yeah. Me and Daisy literally just went right. Let's just take a minute.
I need a place to talk. I have two things I want to talk about today. That f***ing song and Scrappy Doo. That's all I'm here to do.
Okay, so how about you folks? You lovely folks. We'll start off with you, Kyle. How did you get into Scoob and a Doo?
I think I was about the... Oh, Jesus Christ. I think I was about the same. Sorry, I just hit my mic. I think I was about the same. It was just, I owned maybe like 10 different sets of the Scooby-Doo action figures as kids. Nice. So I just sort of owned them 10 times over. I had a mystery machine. I had it all. Like, I was just here for Scooby-Doo. So a live action movie that just springboarded my bisexuality is something that I'm absolutely here for.
Absolutely. I identify with that. What about you, Daisy?
Well, obviously, I am a massive Buffy fan. I have said this before to you guys. I love Buffy.
Same.
I have the whole box set that I got at CEX for like 30 quid, and my mum told me it was a waste of money, and I told her no.
I've never met your mum, but...
she has since taken that back. So Emily, if you're listening, God bless you, but incorrect. And then sort of, I can't remember if it was before or after, but I do remember watching the Scooby-Doo movies like on TV or something.
Yeah.
Obviously having watched What's New Scooby-Doo, all of the older ones as well, because my parents, like especially my mum, brought me up on like old school comedy. So when I saw the first Scooby-Doo live action film, instead of going, that's Mr. Bean, I said, that's Blackadder.
Yeah.
Because that was, do you know what I mean? That was my reaction. So I see him as Blackadder as opposed to, not to be like, I'm not one of those girls, but, I'm not one of those girls. So I saw Daphne and I was like, Buffy!
Yes.
And then obviously I just kind of fell in love with the rest of the characters. Now I watch them religiously. It's like Shrek. I will bring up Shrek many times in this podcast. It's the same thing.
It's happened,
like
folks. She's brought up Shrek.
She's here. Shrek 2 and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed are my go-to childhood films. So yeah, that's probably how that came about.
Well, before we get into the meat of it all, I just needed to give a shout out to the wig department of these two films, because that ginger wig that SMG wears is out of this world. I am obsessed. Like I want to own it. It's not just that, it's like wig and wardrobe in these films.
Yes.
Add to it. And I think it takes it from being like, it could have been just a straight up, oh, they wear the same clothes constantly, but they were like, no, some gay guy was just like, I was like,
this is how you do it.
We need variety. We need variety.
We need spice and flavour.
Yeah.
I think that's it. The transition from, because I was aware of Scooby Doo because I used to watch the old school Scooby Doos on Boomerang when that used to be a channel here in the UK, and I can remember like Saturdays I'd sit and religiously watch Scooby Doo growing up. But for how well they translated those cartoons into a live action film, and I mean, we definitely do need to take a moment for the fashion in this film.
It's fashion meets
SMG in Monsters Unleashed wearing a t-shirt of herself is just
icon,
aspirational
icon, baby. And the second film, that catsuit that Velma wears.
Who's your mommy?
Oh my god!
We're gonna need a whole 10 minutes.
So gay.
Wet floor sign out.
I'm pretty firmly in one bit of the Kinsey scale, but when I first saw that, it was like, it was all over the place. I was like,
it's like Velma being like, "Who's your mommy?" And I'm like, "Me! It's me! It's me!"
Oh my gosh! But I mean, we spoke obviously about where the casting and where these people came from. So obviously we love Buffy, we love Blackadder, Mr. Bean, we love Scream, and then obviously, like you said, Legally Blonde with Velma, Freddie Prinze Jr. I suppose we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer, and
She's All That.
So I mean, I think it was spot on because I think they definitely knew what they were doing, uniting these people in this film, and I can't actually imagine anyone else playing them. To be honest,
no. In my head,
insight. So I was gonna say I have insight. So I was actually reading the production Wikipedia article of the first film.
She's done her research. She is that girl.
Serial girl. So Mike Myers of Shrek fame and Cat in the Hat.
Nicely done.
I'm just saying, I'm being honest.
Circling back
to Shrek. That's why I really came on here to talk about.
You've seen Scooby Doo, but have you seen Shrek?
Here's the thing. Let's watch all Shrek 4 films now. Let's go. No, so Mike Myers started writing the actual script in 1994 for the first
What, for
film.
the live action Scooby Doo?
And he was considered to be Shaggy, as well as Jim Carrey.
That just sent a shiver down my spine. No, I'm not here for that at all.
I love Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey,
He'd be too much. He'd be too
Jim
much.
Jim Carrey's a bit too much. I love that man to death. I think he's brilliant, but I think that Matthew just has this like, I don't know, he can very easily switch between being like a very goofy physical comedian and then also being quite serious, which I think that Jim Carrey can do, but I think for me not as easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Matthew Lillard manages to do crazy but with restraint, and it's incredible to just watch him. Do his thing.
Recently, obviously, rewatching them for this podcast, I was blown away by the fact that obviously these films are like getting on for, well, the first one's 20 years old now. I know, I literally threw up thinking about it as well. But
happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Scooby Doo!
Party.
He must have, because it was at a time where obviously visual effects and stuff was nowhere near as advanced as it is right now, so he would have very much been, I know I've seen in the behind the scenes, it's like a guy in a green suit or it's like a tennis ball, and it's like, it's crazy that he does what he does. It's mental. I thought because I mentioned green suit you were going to say Shrek again. I was just like, Jesus Christ.
I was going to say, I watched that same, I think I know which behind the scenes you're talking about, and it's so funny the way that his, like, because they do it for the airport scene in the first movie
with the dress,
where it's like, the dress, and it's just this little goblin man that's just like it's so funny, and I was sat there like, oh my god, that's terrifying.
It truly is.
One thing I think they managed to capture with these films as well is obviously like Scooby Doo always had like the spooky element, which always got me as a kid. These films perfectly capture the spirit of that old TV show, the 60s TV show. But then like the way that this film felt nostalgic watching it at the time, but they captured that spookiness perfectly. I mean, obviously they go to Spooky Island. I mean, to me, it managed to capture everything I loved about like gateway horror as a child.
Yes,
and getting
absolutely.
into those things.
I mean, obviously we're a horror podcast, and I know when we asked you guys like what you'd be interested in maybe speaking about on the episode, Scooby Doo was like a thing that came up, and we were all like, yeah, hell yeah, we're going to do this. But I definitely think it's up there with like gateway horror. The first film I do think has its moments, and I think we'll get into that then as well, because there's a lot of behind the scenes drama, isn't there, on this first film, and what happened and what should have happened and what didn't happen and all of this sort of stuff. So I do think it was originally intended, wasn't it, to be, I think, for older teens / young adults, as opposed to it being like a kiddies film.
I think the way they got away with Mary Jane in this film.
Yes. I mean, as a child, completely over my head.
Yeah.
The smoke coming out of the mystery machine, completely over my head. It's just, it's fun to revisit.
There's a line as well later on where Fred talks about his beer being spiked or something like that. When
his drink being spiked.
The head in the portal.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I think the original script obviously contained a lot more adult jokes, and I think
it was meant to be scarier than this as well, wasn't it?
I know that I think the monsters as well were kind of more of a late addition to it, weren't they? Because I think the Lunar Ghost was obviously more prominent in a lot of the stuff, hence obviously the marketing of it. But I mean, well, to give an overview of the first film, essentially it starts, doesn't it, with the Scooby Gang disbanding, them all going their separate ways, and then they're all invited back by Mondavarius, I think I pronounced that right, to come
by Rowan Atkinson.
By Rowan, they're invited back by Blackadder to go to Spooky Island. And then I think what was interesting about the films was, in the cartoons we'd always been greeted with the idea that these monsters were people in costumes and they weren't real, and then in both films they kind of took the trope but made the monsters real in different ways, but that was the twist on it. And it was scary, and I think revisiting it as an adult, there's so much in there that you miss as a kid, and so much that you're just like, how did they get away with it?
I've got to give a shout out to drag icon, dragon legend Scooby Doo. Oh my god.
Scuba Doobert.
That airport scene and the plane scene are two of my favourite scenes in that film, purely because it's like Dog Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hello!
I am.
It'd be Rello, wouldn't it? Rello!
I am completely obsessed with that, and I really love where Mary Jane's been possessed by that demon.
Oh my god, on the quad bike.
I thought that was really creepy as a kid. I watch it back now and I'm like, oh, that looks a bit...
No, it's still terrifying, Liam.
But yeah, shout out to drag icon, drag skinny legends.
The second film as well, when in the second film where Shaggy and Scooby, plot twist, spoiler, whatever, they wanna like become better detectives.
I'm sorry, Daff, but your go-go boots didn't fit me.
Scooby, those so don't go with that sweater.
Really?
He pulls them off, much to Daphne's dismay, I think. Absolutely.
It's never said on any official record, but Scooby did actually throw the first brick at Stonewall.
If you actually look back in the far right of the pictures,
it was halted at production though,
and people died.
People were killed, mostly by Scooby.
Mauled people. I suppose, obviously, the reason why Scooby-Doo in general maybe appeals to a queer audience so much, I do think is very much in the character of Velma. And obviously the original series started way back towards the tail end of the 60s, the original cartoon. Growing up ourselves as queer people, we were aware that we have these coded characters, and we have like these characters that were never explicitly queer, but we could identify and read things into it. And I know that James Gunn has since obviously come out and said he did make Velma explicitly queer in the first film, and Warner Brothers chose to water it down. And I think even in some of the initial like test screenings, there was a lot more. And I mean, have you guys seen any of the deleted scenes from the first film?
I saw, actually, I was going to say, because I did some notes,
She's a detective, folks.
I know, what can I say? I was reading the originals, and obviously there was originally, Sarah Michelle Gellar said that there was originally a scene where, the sort of body swapping bit, they all swap bodies, but originally Daphne and Velma kissed because they couldn't figure out a way to get their souls back together, so they kissed. And then apparently also Shaggy said that sorry, Matthew.
No, he is Shaggy now. Yeah.
Such brilliant performances.
So the guy from Scream, Matthew in on Reddit and in Ask Me Anything said that Fred was originally meant to be gay, and so Freddie Prinze Jr. portrayed him to be gay, basically, or I think in the deleted scenes maybe portrayed him to be gay. So I definitely think that even though those scenes weren't released, I do still think that there was that unlining thing. And also, when they're in the car and they're talking about, in the first film, and they're talking about, Velma's talking about the better memories.
Shaggy and Scooby, what goofballs. Kind of like they are today. And Daphne, so beautiful. She was the coolest girl at Coolsville High.
And I was like, gay!
I mean, it's a shame, really, because I think it would have been interesting to see. I mean, there are literally, I think there was 2 scenes that I came across where we've got Velma in a bikini in an all-girls locker room, just getting her swerve on, and she kind of has a moment with Daphne. I know, obviously, I read about the kiss in the body swap scene, but the one that stood out to me the most was...
the one where she's drunk.
Yeah, so there's an extended cut of the scene where the creepy guy's playing the piano in the bar, and she decides to straddle said piano and start singing, but it's done so well because it's so ambiguous, because both Fred and Daphne enter the room and come down separate staircases. I mean, the drama of it all is just everything. But she starts singing I Love You Baby.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. Oh God, I wanna hold you so much.
Which is, I mean, she's got a great set of lungs on her, hasn't she?
The gay and new street chat. She's got a great pair of lungs.
I didn't even realise. Oh my God.
But no, that's the scene that's always that sticks out to me too.
I love you, baby, and if it's quite alright, I need you, baby, to warm the lonely night.
I get why it didn't happen. Not to be I would not want it, but I understand why it didn't happen, because homophobic Hollywood. I'm just thinking of the alternate universe of where that was allowed to be kept in, and how much that would have meant to a lot of young, not even just young, it would have been older people who watched the original show would have seen that and just felt some comfort. So a big you to whoever made that decision.
Yeah, there's also another thing where it becomes that argument of, do you want to have a gay relationship just because it's a gay relationship? Because then that goes is this doing it for the plot line, so that you or is it an actual genuine, loving, well portrayed relationship or fling or whatever you want to call it? Do you know what I mean?
I feel
you
can,
you know what I mean?
You can comfortably read that film as her still being I said, she's a queer coded character, and you can very much read it as that. And I like that it's ambiguous. And obviously she has kind of her love interest in that film, if you want to say. He's played by someone called Charlie Cousins, but then I think his official title on the credits is Velma's friend. He's constantly seen making these kind of advances towards Velma, and I love the fact that at the end she actually physically punches him away. She's like, no, I do not want you.
Good for her.
So I suppose I was a little bit let down by the fact that I suppose then in the sequel she then got this romance, but at the same time I do love Seth Green, so it was catch-22.
I would not be able to resist Seth Green at all.
You love Seth Green, don't you?
Oh my God, yeah. So I'm in my Buffy rewatch at the moment. He's about to leave because Veruca comes in, and I find it so hard to hate him, but I get to see his tight little body and stuff, and I'm just like come to me. Anyway.
Happy place. Liam just goes offline. Just bye.
That's it. I love the film. I think it's camp as balls. I think there's so many moments. I mean, like we've said, the fashion. I think the voodoo priest actually made me absolutely howl the last time I watched it, when he turns around to Daphne and he's like,
purple is a fall color. It's the middle of May.
What? Who are you?
Period.
Who are you and why are you bright?
Exactly. And also, who wouldn't want to go to Spooky Island? Like, I am gutted that place doesn't exist.
Have you seen that in Australia you can go on the rides?
Yes.
I want to
lose my shit.
How much
Shall we
is
go
the ticket to Australia?
You're closer to us.
Oh yeah.
Just go on the way back. You'll be fine.
I just leave.
But we also haven't spoken about the little shit that is Scrappy Doo.
Right.
The fact
triggered.
Hang on.
Okay. Daisy, tie your hair back. Lubricate.
Read that bitch.
But what I will say is, as a kid, I never liked Scrappy Doo as well. But what they managed to do in this film by making him the little shit that he is, being like the main villain. Spoilers, but you should have watched the film. That's on me.
I mean, it is 20 years old now.
Yeah.
Get a grip.
Grow up.
I remember watching that as a kid and being like, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. I thought that was like the best twist in cinema history. Like, as a young kid, I was like, Bruce Willis dies.
Sixth Sense, yeah. Scooby Doo.
No, it's all about Scooby Doo. Couldn't believe it. Daisy, I know you have thoughts, so go on. Read that bitch.
I just have, like, it's actually not just me, it's my whole family. I'm not even joking.
Oh my god.
It's a generational thing.
It's dead
This
ass.
is intense.
Me and my mum.
In every generation, there is a chosen one. She alone must stand
against Scrappy Doo.
I mean, he does physically piss on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so, I mean, I was out.
And without consent.
No water
Who
sports
the
for
does that? Who the sees Buffy the Vampire Slayer and goes, I'm going to piss on you without consent? Like, maybe I'll piss on you. You're hot, but without consent.
I'm a shit on these walls, Ray.
I'm a shit on these walls, Ray.
I'm a fart in your mouth.
Ray. It's just like, he's so, like, it's just why, it's like, every time I watch anything with him in, I'm like, why have you not punched him in the face? Like, I feel like I'm not a violent person, but I feel like I'm not that much of a violent person.
Okay, great.
Whenever I channel anger, I do think of Scrappy Doo.
Oh my god.
So angry. It's like, why would you make such a horrible, annoying character? Like, you've got all these characters and they're all very, like, three-dimensional, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got just pros and cons of each character. And then you've just got this, like, rat bastard. Just, like, go away. Like, no one likes you.
Even Yokel Doo didn't inspire this much hate in me, and I didn't like Yokel Doo.
I feel like I just know he's the type of person that commits fraud. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Scrappy Doo is one of those people on Grindr who's like, no fats, no femmes.
Yes.
Or like,
he's an incel. He gives you lists of things that he doesn't want in a woman.
If you're over 30, don't tap.
It's like, if you're under 100 pounds, like, swipe left. You know what I mean? Just like,
Daisy really went through the Scooby Doo family and she was like, good morning, not you can choke.
Good morning to everybody except Scrappy Doo. You know what you did. Scrappy Doo's my enemy, and I will publicly declare that on this podcast.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
It's an exclusive.
But so
that bitch.
The two things you wanted to talk about, Scrappy Doo and the song. So we've got All Stars, Bump in the Night.
Did anybody watch the All Stars TV show?
Yes!
They had a TV show?
They had a TV show on CITV.
Also,
and it was
Sandy,
Darren from Hollyoaks. Oh.
So you know Sandy, the blonde one, the new one that comes in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes to the place in the beginning, doesn't orgasm in the beginning. Good morning. So she is Dom from Dick and Dom's wife.
Oh my gosh!
It's so incestuous, isn't it? Our whole childhood is just everyone knows each other.
Each other.
I mean, I've always wanted to jump on that Dom train, to be fair.
I fancy Dick.
No.
You like Dick and I like Doms. Like,
yeah, we do too. I love the song.
Are we swapping podcast partners? Is that what's happening?
It's just a podcast where we
Wow.
just talk about hatred of Scrappy Doo and how much we want to Dom from Dick and Dom.
To be fair, I want to shag most of my childhood TV heroes, but
Consider therapy instead.
Yeah, that might be a good line for your therapist.
anyway,
Bump in the Night is
Bump in the
have you seen
Night.
the music video?
Yeah,
It is.
What winds me up is people say that Thriller is the Halloween song.
Oh no,
no,
it's
To
not
me-
Halloween until Bump in the Night is playing
Yeah.
as
Yes.
loudly as possible.
We had a Halloween party last year in a barn, and I was curator of the Halloween playlist, and I put it in there every
Every song.
every five songs it would come on, and there was me like off my tits dressed as Juno Birch.
Yes, that's happening.
Just like
You better run.
you I went to see them. There was this concert that used to be called Live in the City in Stoke-on-Trent, sponsored by Iron Brew. Yeah. And I went to that, and All Stars were there along with Atomic Kitten and Liberty X.
Oh my
And
God.
I was there. So when Liberty X came on, I was doing like, do you know, the like little stick dance, like work
Sexy.
Leather chaps. 8-year-old me was like popping, and I was like itching for All Stars to come on. And when they did Bump in the Night, oh my God, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Oh my
you couldn't
God.
tell me anything.
Here's the sad thing is that like people do like I mean like we obviously do, but like some people don't know that song. And I remember once we were at CC Bloom's in Edinburgh, right, which is like a amazing gay club, and you were there as well, Carl, and I actually did consider not being your friend anymore because it came on and I was like woo, and you were like,
I did
And I was
notice
like-
that Kyle has been very silent in this section of the podcast. So Kyle.
I would not
Defend
like
yourself.
to comment. Probably. Probably. I would rather die than talk about this. Probably because if I were at CC Bloom's, it's probably because I was shit-faced out my and couldn't
So was
hear the
I.
music.
Excuses.
I remember I was
I'm hearing
singing along.
excuses.
So
I was, like,
just
singing along, I
backtracking
was like-
completely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that song just
To be
unlocks
fair,
memories.
if you hear somebody saying "bump in the night" in a gay club, it usually means something very different, and it's usually done in the bathroom. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a funny story about Bump in the Night because I actually knew this song before I actually watched the film, and it was
Same.
because I was part of a fashion show in primary school. And I learned how to box step to Bump in the Night in pajamas because I was in the nightwear section.
of course, at Primark. What?
No, at primary school, not Primark. Shit, Primark.
Just box stepping in Primark.
I mean, that's
the
what I
title
do
of this
now.
episode, box stepping in Primark.
But yes.
Liam, was that filmed? Was that taped?
please
Is that-
tell me.
No, but I have so many memories from that night because I can remember we did a dress rehearsal and I stepped off the back of the stage and completely shattered one of the lights. So half of the stage was just in darkness because of me, and it was also at the time.
Incredible.
Can you remember when the Tic Tac adverts came out? When
Shake your
it was all
Tic
the it was all the models backstage at Fashion Week, and they had Tic Tacs. So I bought a box of Tic Tacs to the fashion show because I was like, "Hello." I mean, the fact people didn't know I was at least a little
Bless
bit on the
your
spectrum in terms of queerness is. I don't mean autism. I mean.
Oh my God.
Gay.
Not the fracking. Not the fracking. Oh my God. I am so warm. It's unreal. I need to stop laughing. God, we're never having you guys back on. It's too much. It's too much.
All I want to say to close that section off is Scrappy Doo. May he die in hell.
I didn't think it was clear how you felt about Scrappy Doo. So if you could just reiterate.
Him. And that song's amazing. And if anyone doesn't know it, just listen to it, add it to all your playlists. And if you don't listen to it, then you're wrong.
And if there are any drag performers out there and you do perform this song, please let me know where I can find you so I can come and watch you, because that would give me so much life.
Yeah, there's such a good song for drag as well.
If I could be asked to do drag, I think that would be my number.
I think we should do an event, Liam, because I mean I've got the box step and the Tic Tacs, so.
Liam's there too.
Not to use your whole CV at one event.
It's my resume.
Liam
box step and I own Tic Tacs.
The B and Liam B is for box step.
I'm never going to live this down. This is getting edited out, I swear. Okay. But moving on.
Before we go, I have to talk about my favourite part of the movie, which is a true act of advocating for gay rights, where Sarah
it's got very serious. It's got very serious. Okay, sorry.
I bring you serious, yeah.
I don't know where I am.
This true act of gay rights wherein there is a scene where Sarah Michelle Gellar beats the absolute shit out of a muscle gay.
Now who's the damsel in distress? Me? Straight up.
Yes.
Yes.
Like this. Well, when she was in this film, she was at like the peak of her career. She'd done Buffy, Scream 2. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Cruel Intentions.
Yeah.
Which, if anyone's listening and you haven't watched Cruel Intentions, I don't consider you a fan of this show.
Sort out your life.
But she was at the peak of her career, and the fact is, she was like, you know, because she's probably handed 1,001 scripts at this point, and people were like, please be in our movie. And the fact is, she chose this one. I'm so grateful to whatever gay stars aligned that day. I just love her, and I spoke a lot about her on the last episode, the Buffy episode, but I honestly think she's truly one of the greatest actresses of our time. I really do. So the second film, Monsters Unleashed, and absolutely like. We talk about sequels not being as good as the original. I would say this is on par. Both of them are absolutely phenomenal films.
Yeah. This completely just gave me everything I think I wanted out of a live action Scooby Doo film, and actually makes me gutted that there isn't a third one, because I know, I don't know, I just want a trilogy. Like, I would be happy them all getting back together now, and just too. Being like, okay, Mystery Inc. in like so many years, what's happened. But just even from the opening, that shot of like the Warner Brothers logo against the moon and the music starting and that whole title sequence, I was just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, to be fair, I would have been 11 at the time that this came out, and I saw it at the cinemas as well. Like, I think, like you said, Kyle, the bisexual in me was just like so confused, because
I do want to clarify, I will refer to every single person in these movies as someone I would like to sleep with. So if I'm talking about them,
even
I do
Scooby
want to sleep
Doo.
with. Even listen,
in those pink shoes.
You think I'm going to back down?
Wow. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. The opening for me is just everything I wanted it to be, and I would definitely go to that exhibit if that existed. 100%.
Yeah, for me, I think this film firmly cemented my love of Freddie Prinze Jr. because his skin looks so soft in this film. I don't know what it is.
Drop the routine.
I don't know what it is, and it's a weird thing to like fix in on, but Freddie Prinze Jr.'s skin in this film looks so soft and so smooth. And because they've grown his hair. Yeah, Fred's got like a bit of a blowout in this one as well. Like he's let his hair grow a little bit. It's a little bit Ellen DeGeneres, but but he still works it. And what I love about this film is like there is nobody in the world to portray a himbo as well as Freddie Prinze Jr. does. He does it so perfectly, and Fred is the ultimate himbo.
If anyone has any arguments, just don't do it.
That's it. You're wrong. You're wrong,
out.
essentially.
You're wrong.
I love, when because obviously now they're like back together, it's like they're at peak Mystery Inc. now as well. I just love the little moments that they have with the fans on the way in. So Shaggy obviously smells the stoners. The Velma's greeted by
at all.
Is it the Dinkley Brigade?
all my lesbian friends from now on.
Let's go, lesbians, let's go.
Like, gay men we have, is he a friend of Dorothy? And this one we're like, are they a member of the Dinkley Brigade?
Absolutely. And can we also just talk about the fact that Daphne and Velma standing together are just the lesbian pride flag on it, essentially. It's just if it couldn't be more obvious, they are just everything.
I think the second one is just Velma's film. I think this is
definitely
just Velma's film completely.
Yeah. I mean, not to forget about Shaggy and title character Scooby Doo, but it's about Velma and her finding herself. I think,
it's kind of the two, like they're both sort of like finding each other and also themselves as well.
Yeah.
'Cause everyone, here's the tea is that when you grew up, like you kind of sometimes, I mean, I know that I'm not saying I did, but I know people that I know did. People put like Shaggy and Velma together. And then you grow up and you're like, wait, what?
That legit happens though in a series, and it's a more recent series, but I think the producer of that series has then come out and said that in canon, Velma is a lesbian.
Yeah, she's not bi.
She's not bi. She is a lesbian, and I think that series starts with her being in a relationship with Shaggy, and it being so uncomfortable that that's kind of like you were saying, her finding herself and realizing, do you know what? Maybe men aren't for me.
maybe Daphne.
Maybe Daphne. Yeah.
Maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Did you all see yourself in a character watching this? So, like, I was always.
Can you explain in?
So,
I was gonna say, like,
balls deep in the pterodactyl ghost.
No, but I feel like
Scooby Doo.
If we're gonna do like, rather than what's your zodiac sign, which Scooby Doo character you're in? So I feel like I'm a Daphne, and I always have done.
I get that. I see that. Yeah, you look great in purple.
I'm a Daphne with a Fred rising,
or a Fred going down. What about you, Kyle? What would you say?
I would see myself in all of them.
No, but which character do you identify with?
I'd probably I guess I'd probably be a bit of a Shaggy, wouldn't I? I don't know. Probably. I'm
don't ask us.
Always under the influence.
Yeah.
just
smells like wet dog.
Really hard.
Surrounded by dogs.
Falling over a lot.
And my bitches. I wouldn't see you as. I would see you more of like maybe a Daphne, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, two Daphnes.
Okay. I can vibe with that.
Well, it's a bit high maintenance. It's like in the best possible way. No, in a good way. We've had like conversations. No, in the best possible way. Like me and Carl have had conversations where like I'm basically just a slob and Carl wants better for himself.
Oh my god! Wow.
But like in the best possible way.
So who do you see yourself in?
Shaggy.
Just wanted to clarify.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I see myself as Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
From the first film.
I don't know. I think I probably see myself in Velma, to be honest.
You're a Velma for me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm glamorous enough to be Daphne, even though I've got the box step and the Tic Tacs. I'm definitely not glamorous enough to be Daphne, but Velma. I mean, me and my friend, we send voice notes to each other, and what absolutely gets me, and I mean, I was absolutely creasing last night when I was watching Monsters Unleashed, was the bit when she finds the scale, and then she's like,
a secret hatch. The real pterodactyl ghost must have come through here. A reptilian scale. A most wonderful clue.
And it's just, it absolutely ruins me, that line, and I don't know why, but just her delivery is just everything. So yeah, I'd probably say Velma. I'd be happy to be Velma.
So what you're saying is, just generally across the board, if any of us radiated any kind of top energy to play Fred, we would have the whole Scooby Doo.
Fred is not a top. I don't think Fred is a top at all.
Fred is a bottom.
He is a bottom. He's got an ascot.
I got an ascot for each of you.
Wait.
Top.
I think Daphne's the top.
Of course she is.
I mean, Fred's fully involved in the hanky code. He's wearing.
Yeah. What does orange mean?
Yellow that's happy, or?
No, I think.
No, yellow's piss. With it being orange, it's anything, anytime.
That's me. That's Velma.
King.
That whore Fred. Anything,
He
anytime.
just wants it in the 247.
It's like having a job working 24/7 for 2 days on the trot.
I do want to point out if it's coral, it means he likes his toes sucked. So I would like to clarify. Please write in. Is Fred's ass got more of an orange or a coral?
We'll do a poll on the internet.
James Gunn, when you're writing this character, did he want his toes sucked? That is the intro to this episode, right? It's asking that question. I do think, though, this film, in all seriousness, lower the lights, we're getting serious again now.
Sorry.
It does ask a lot of questions about masculinity and femininity, relationships and all that stuff. And I think that's why I maybe enjoyed it a bit more than the first one, because the first one's good, silly fun. But this, I suppose this one was literally as I was about to like go into puberty and be like, okay, adult Liam is happening now. Yeah, they were like asking questions. I mean, Fred has that whole moment of like, am I a wimp for talking about my feelings? And it's just heartbreaking when he's laying there next to SMG and you're like, oh, don't die. It's honestly, it gave me flashbacks to Toy Story 3 when they're all going down in the frigging
incinerator.
Oh my god, I'm gonna start crying now just thinking about it, to be honest. But I will say one character we've not mentioned, who I probably see myself the most in, who is an absolute icon, is Heather Jasper Howard.
Heather Jasper Howe at the grand opening of the new Coulsonian Criminology Museum with our guests of honor, the Master Detectives of Mystery Incorporated.
Legend herself.
Because you best believe I will be there and giving Daphne shit for losing my scoop. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, if we're talking gay icons as well, like she is the one and only Alicia Silverstone.
Yep.
I just these films are just incredible. Like we've got Cher from Clueless in this one, and
it's like they knew what they were doing for their gay audience.
They really did. Hats off to them all. So what I want to ask is, we're going to reboot a Scooby Doo film.
Okay,
we're going to redo it. Who would you cast now from like the pool of people that we have now? And I know that we could just get this cast back and they would kill it. But if we were to go from now, what would we do?
I think we definitely need some more Jenna Ortega on stuff, because she's been great in everything we've seen so far.
The shade of it all.
That's shade. I don't know who I would cast in this, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm going to let you guys go first, and then I'll come back.
I've got a script already planned. So
he's prepared.
By James Gunn himself.
They're there and they're going to unmask the killer. They take it off. It's Kelly Rowland.
What kind of
How did I not see this?
She points at Fred.
Freddy!
And what's he wearing already? A
Christmas sweater.
Right. Reboot Scooby Doo. Kelly Rowland's the main villain. Let's just, you know what? Let's make it a crossover with Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
The villain looks like Kelly Rowland, and they take the mask off, and it's still Kelly Rowland.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen.
I'd love it.
It's Michelle.
It's Michelle, and they're like, wrong one.
Oh, Michelle.
Beyonce.
Oh my god.
You tell me I look like Shalissa.
Who the fuck's that?
Me, villain Shalissa. I'm here for it.
Is that real?
So essentially we're writing Freddy versus Jason versus Scooby Doo, setting a premiere in.
Yeah.
Kelly Rowland and the rest of Destiny's Child.
Yeah, who did we want to sponsor us, Liam? I think we wanted
Premiere
a sponsor. No, you.
Stop. Let it die.
Stop trying to make Premiere In happen.
Premiere In is not going to happen. But talking about masks, the masked figure was probably way too scary than it needed to be.
When you said talking about masks, I was like...
There's several in your area.
There are.
Velma's the only mask in this film.
But yeah, I mean... That character probably legitimately scared me quite a bit.
Absolutely. That was actually, it was quite scary.
Mystery Incorporated!
Yeah, definitely. To say it was very much not scary compared to the costumes that were coming to life. It was somehow terrifying.
I know we've already done the first film, but I would like to talk about this Art the Clown looking motherfucker from The Punisher. That is the Luna Ghost at the start.
Oh yeah,
with this pyromaniac.
This awful banshee shriek thing that starts off this children's movie. I don't mean to go back there, but like, I don't want to pass that up and say that was horrific.
I
thought that was scary. Definitely scary. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was not good. I think it was scarier as well when you realised it was a small old man covered in helium balloons. Yeah. Which, that was also terrifying.
The scariest part of it is that the villain is always the white man, imagine.
yeah.
Always a straight white man. Typical.
If it wasn't for those meddling kids.
That's why Kelly Rowland would work perfectly. You'd think it would be a scary old white man, but no, it's scary old Kelly Rowland.
Well,
Scary Spice.
Scary old white men. I think this film delivers an incredible red herring with Old Man Wickles, who I think is just incredible in this film. I want to say I want his house. I want his collection of clues, because he has a lot of great clues. I want his doorbell, because who doesn't want a doorbell that just locks people away until 7 o'clock?
Incredible.
Just, yeah.
That's I needed that back in the day when I was on Grindr.
They just pull the door. You're like, you don't look like your pictures. Down.
You
In
have
the
to
cage
pull it
you
twice. The first time they pull it, you get the warning. The second time, you have to go.
So this is what I mean. He's courteous.
By ringing a doorbell.
He's courteous. He gives them notice. He tells them what's up.
Also kidnapped a small child.
Yeah. Christians and a Girl Scout, I think.
And Matilda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matilda and the Mormons.
But that freaking scene when they're in the hamster ball cage and Daphne just saves the day.
Oh, brother. The lock's on a laser thumbprint scanner. Oh, let me just get to my makeup. Now? You know what, Velma? It's never too late to learn to properly apply makeup. Okay. The last good thumbprint should still be there. So, a little blush. A pore strip. And voila.
Right down.
I enjoy being a girl.
She does. These films were written for the gays. They really were.
They definitely were.
Absolutely were. Well, thank you, James Gunn. You know,
that's it. It's like you see that the sort of shit he went on to go and do it. Like this is where he started. I'm like, get back to that.
Please. We need less Chris Pratt, more this, please.
So I think I'd have someone play Fred.
Back to the question. Who would we get to play these characters? I genuinely don't think they're replaceable. This cast? I genuinely don't think.
But have you seen the recent live action version? It's
no, not that.
Fred isn't even blonde. Fred isn't blonde. He's like dark brunette and played by Robbie Amell.
Who's that?
He's like the guy who plays Arrow, Green Arrow, the hot one, but his brother.
It just progressively got worse. You know that guy? Yeah, he's related to that guy.
He plays the jock in the Babysitter films.
Okay, I can get behind that.
They got him to play Fred, but they didn't make him blonde. What's the point?
Yeah, he needs to be a blonde bimbo.
Exactly.
I mean, there's trying to be original, but then some things you just shouldn't change.
So I would cast Jacob Elordi from Euphoria fame as Fred.
Yeah.
Mainly because that's going on in my fantasy right now.
I mean,
yeah.
Let's just have a minute.
I'd really struggle with Daphne. Like, I think out of all of them, Daphne and Shaggy need to be cast perfectly. Like, Fred, in a nice way possible, Fred can be just a pretty boy who's got comedy chops. But
I mean, have you seen any of the newer animated films? Because obviously we got kind of going a bit off subject because
I watched the one with Elvira in it, obviously.
I mean, that was great. But did you watch Scoob with Zac Efron, Amanda Seyfried, and Mindy Kaling?
No, I haven't watched it yet, and which is surprising because
my mouth with it.
I'll watch anything with Zac Efron in.
It's not it. It's not the one. I mean, I think actually Zac Efron could potentially, maybe a few years ago, be a good Fred. Potentially, that could work. I see that, and I mean, I thought that was great casting, voice casting. Amanda Seyfried, I don't really gel with that much. I suppose we've got to talk about the catsuit, haven't we? I mean, I
Oh
feel
my
like
God,
that
we
deserves a
absolutely do.
moment because.
I mean,
my
like,
God.
I'll just preface this. We don't like. Yes, we're objectifying all these people. Like,
they're all very pretty.
Okay.
But that scene was intentionally made to be sexy. Like, as I said previously, even I was just like, "Am I gay? Am I a little gay boy?" The answer was yes. Spoiler alert. But this did make me feel things.
When afterwards, you have the whole scene, and then afterwards, and she's sitting there, and she's obviously in the van, and she's like, "Oh, really hot, blah blah blah." Right? Look, she looks down her top, and it's like, "Oh my God, I'm hot." And then, or hot and nervous, you know what I mean? And then when they come out of the museum, she unzips the suit to reveal a thermal sweater,
Incredible.
polo neck sweater underneath, and she's like, "Oh, so hot," and it's like, no wonder why, bitch. What?
Always prepared. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously we get the whole scene with Daphne and her practically kissing, and Daphne going, "You're afraid of intimacy," and I mean that was like. They held that moment a
Gay.
little, yeah. Gay.
They did that on purpose. They were right there.
Did. Yeah.
But I don't know. I almost felt like, watching it older, because I watched it at the time where like hormones were raging, and I was definitely like you, Liam. I was kind of like, yes, I'm attracted to this. I like this a lot. But like watching it now, I kind of saw it as, I don't know. It was kind of sad almost in some ways, because you could tell how uncomfortable she was. And I know it was obviously played for laughs and stuff, but I suppose if you do look at it with that lens of like, who is she really? I mean, she has that line later on where Shaggy and Scooby are sad that they're screw-ups, and she's like, well, I've always wanted to be you guys because you're just so authentically yourselves and you're always who you want to be. I suppose watching it older, it played out differently to me, but I was very much still aroused.
Basically, I'm horny.
Yeah. I just need to get laid, guys.
I think
in the scene at the end, though, do you know when they're all dancing at the end?
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously you've got like, Shaggy and Scooby just like grooving away, and then obviously Fred and Daphne are like really romantic to each other and stuff like that, and they're all being like. And then you kind of expect, obviously, because they've all coupled up at the end, you'd expect, Velma and Seth Green to be the same way. And they're not. They're like almost mates. And then there's a part of me that's going, did they like kind of hook up and then like realise that she didn't really enjoy it, and then she's just mates with him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the law here? Like, what's the tea?
I think they left it open. I think, again, when obviously all this stuff's come out, where James Gunn's kind of said, look, I wanted to make Velma gay. I wasn't allowed to make Velma gay, but if it had have gone this way, this is how it would have been. And he's even said himself, I think he was a bit pissed that they had to shoehorn this hetero romance into it in the second film. And it does feel a little bit like kind of shoehorned in. I know that this is very much Velma's film, but I don't know. I'm glad that she realised she didn't need to be Catsuit Lady. It was nice while it lasted. I love the fart jokes. I love the miscongeniality moment where she can't walk in heels. But yeah, she's just her, and I'm glad it ends with her just being an absolute dope on the dance floor. I think that's quite nice.
What I love about these is because we speak a lot on this podcast about gateway horror, and it is, if you do want to introduce young children to the concept of horror, and we've spoken a lot about, there are the R.L. Stine Goosebumps books, there's the original Scooby Doo TV show, but I feel like this is in the vein of that, because as a kid it was all about Scooby Doo, the Munsters, the Addams Family, and then when these films came out, it was like perfect. I was like, I'm on board, and then it really opened my eyes to finding out more.
Yeah, really I know what you mean. I mean, Kyle, you spoke about having the action figures. I mean, I was pretty much the same. And, to see these monsters actually get brought to life and, like, them be decent, like, budget was spent on these monsters.
Absolutely.
Was one of the greatest things ever. It was such a cool moment, I thought, as a kid.
Did you make any of the figures kiss?
There was a lot of just like raw plastic on plastic.
Smooth humps to smooth humps.
No, well, I had action figures from all kinds of different TV shows, so like they were doing each other. Real beginning of the fan fiction in my life.
Yeah.
The Red Power Ranger growing up, I'd seen some stuff. Trust me, in my house.
All of them. It was just an orgy of TV shows and films.
Plastic.
Lovely.
Just, and I think that's the takeaway for everyone listening today. When in doubt, just have an orgy with everyone you can find.
You cannot run. You cannot hide.
But you're getting bumped in the night.
Yes. Amazing.
I feel like we've kind of said what we've got to say about this. So just like
watch these films, guys.
Yeah. If nobody at home listening has watched these films, one, they've been spoiled for you, but I feel like regardless of how many times you watch these films, you always take something away from it. I'm praying for the day that somebody does reboot these films and does have, because I'm a huge Elvira fan. She's like one of my heroes. I would love to see live action Elvira in a live action Scooby Doo film.
It would just be perfect. It would be absolutely perfect. It works so well in that animated film.
That animated film is so good. She's incredible. Show stopping, piss on it, shit on it.
Never been done before.
No.
Completely original.
Club, another club, bus.
No sleep. That's literally your life right now.
That was just you traveling to Korea.
Bus, no sleep.
Boat, train, another bus, plane, no sleep, EF plain meal.
You got quite gangster at the end of that. I don't know what happened, but I was quite scared.
That was the first time she has ever been described as that.
I think you said on the last episode, you were like, "Am I intimidating?" And I was like, "You don't sound intimidating, Kyle. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you."
That's fine. I'll make peace with that. I'm glad. And it just means the reason people don't approach me in bars is because I'm ugly. So
it's not that.
No,
it's the dancing, Kyle. You've not got the box step or the tic tacs.
Tic tacs.
I'm just going to say, we don't have ugly people on this podcast.
No, we don't. We have awful people on this podcast.
I wouldn't allow it. If we have an ugly guest, I will make them turn the camera off. So
yeah,
no.
We don't even film them.
Booted, yeah.
So if you would like to be a guest on the show,
send a picture of your face to these guys and send a picture of your penis to me.
Closing remarks.
I actually don't know where I've gone.
I think it's really interesting that you've been talking a lot about like it being gateway horror, because there were so many moments in this for me that I thought were horror related or referenced horror. Specifically, I remember a demon bursting out of Daphne's chest, which I thought was like parallel to Alien, the iconic scene from Alien. So just in a general closing remark, just go watch the films because they're also really poorly rated, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, what the going on?
We were reading through some of them earlier, and it said it made one of the reviews said it made Stuart Little look like Citizen Kane or something.
Now
sit down. Sit down.
I need names. I need addresses because I hate Stuart Little. I hate Stuart Little so much.
Someone
I just want to say,
better
if you
than
don't,
Saving Private Ryan.
Shaving Ryan's privates.
And there we are.
Even if you don't,
Ryan.
even if you don't want to watch the films, just go through the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes because they're great. And if you want to see what it would look like if Daphne and Velma were together, I'm aware of several porn parodies in which that happens. So.
I'm sure there's one with the cock destroyers, isn't there? I'm sure they're like in full latex versions of their outfits. Which
can we just take a moment of silence for Sophie Anderson's tit?
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. She does have a crowdfunder at the moment that you can go and check out and help her to reconstruct her tit.
It's on Instagram.
Yeah. Anyway. Daisy, any closing remarks?
I think for me, what I love about films like the Scooby Doo films is more the comedy aspect. I think what makes a good like family friendly movie, one that you can watch with your kids or with your parents or whatever, is the comedy. And I think that it's that like the two Scooby Doo films have got really good comedy timing, and they've got those jokes that we didn't get as kids, but the parents did, the adults did, and so obviously as you grow up, you can then find those jokes funny, and I think it just means that it's like films that everybody can enjoy no matter the age, and I just think that and also it's nice as well because we were talking about the fashion earlier. in the first film.
But
the
is it fashion?
And the thighs is very the fashion.
It's fashion.
The style. It's fashion. It's not box stepping, honey.
Don't you be coming for me.
Get your Tic Tacs ready. It's very sort of, the first one is very like late 90s, early 2000s, which is obviously when it was written / released. But then the second one is like, the clothes are very 60s, the style is very 60s, which is obviously based on the original cartoon. But then obviously the technology is more like advanced. And then you've obviously got like the scene with Shaggy and Scooby where they're dancing with, it's just like that 70s clothes. So it's all very like all over the place. So you can't really pinpoint like an exact time or almost location as well, which I quite like when they do, because you can kind of, it literally can be anywhere.
It's timeless.
It's timeless.
Really
exactly.
is. Yeah.
I think that paired with a good script and good comedy just makes it for like a fun watch, similar to Shrek. So if you haven't seen,
oh my lord.
I'm joking. If you haven't
Do you
seen
see what I deal with on a regular recording?
I don't know how you do it, to be honest, Kyle.
I feel like I'm a joy to work with.
So
Go watch the films.
We need to start this episode off with a drinking game. You do take a shot for every time Shrek is mentioned. And if you're at this point in the show, we are sending an ambulance to your location.
Yeah, you're out. You're done for.
Rest in peace.
So, Liam, if you would like to finish us off.
Always and forever. Yeah, I mean, I have so much love for these films. I think rewatching them, I didn't realise how much of an impact they probably had on me growing up, and how much joy they bring me. Like, they are so good. They have great songs, great fashion. I mean, we haven't even talked about Big Brothers being in the sequel. I mean, where are Big Brothers now?
Oh my days. They are performing at Pride festivals up and down the UK. Chesterfield Pride, they performed last year.
I mean, we're going.
I mainly went for the girls from Booty Love because they did their own little bit.
I saw Booty Love in Glasgow.
Oh my god!
Some kind of rush. Oh my days! Now where is that? Where is that?
See, that would have been in the sequel, and I mean that is my closing thoughts. Is I want a third one. No offense, Liam, I don't want it rebooted. I know it was only a hypothetical, but I'm angry that you even asked us.
Kelly can still be in the.
Kelly can be in the third one, because I know that the intention was that they were going to go to Scotland, and I think Kelly Rowland doing a dodgy Scottish accent would
Kelly McRowland.
Kelly McRowland. She sounds like a new thing at McDonald's.
It's not a burger meal.
Exactly. Oh my lord! You should just burst out the box. Freddie,
Eddie,
hey, me.
Yeah, just with an awful accent. No, I mean, I don't know. I want more. I want more of it. I'd happily get a sequel. I don't think any of these guys. I mean, they're all still in the game. They're all still doing great stuff.
They've all aged like
the
finest of wine.
Yeah,
and also like Freddie and Sarah just being the complete ultimate couple goals for me.
Yeah,
they are. I stalk their Instagram constantly.
Jesus Christ, same. Absolutely same.
I would like to, before we close off, just send an official invite to them if they want to invite me into their love nest.
Yeah,
I will go willingly.
Y'all need a dog?
Yeah.
Need a dog?
I will stay in the basement. Just get me when you need me.
But yeah, so
moving on swiftly.
But I'd really like us to get into our recommendations for this month. You know, if you are listening to this and you like hearing our recommendations, luckily the folks over at Bitchcraft and Faggotry have their rec for rec each episode, so you're no stranger to your recommendations. So if we could start off with you, Kyle, what have you brought to the table this week?
I have brought staying on theme, I brought my favourite Scooby Doo movie of all time, which is Scooby Doo and the Cyber Chase.
Fantastic film.
Yes.
Brilliant film. I remember just watching it as a kid and just being like, do you know, I mean, they get like sucked into video games and all that sort of stuff. They get to run about in video games, which as a kid who also played video games, I was just like, this is peak cinema. I don't want to hear about anything else. And yeah, it's just, I think people should really, with everything that goes on right now, not to make a serious twist out of it in true Kyle fashion, but with everything going on right now, just revisit your childhood, have some fun, don't take things too seriously. and just enjoy a good movie and don't turn your nose up, which is what I saw a lot in the reviews for these films, is adults turning their nose up at a children's film.
Yeah. Get a life.
Being like, this is far too childish. Like, just...
It's for children.
So, while we're on the subject of Cyber Chase, I used to play the PS1 game of Scooby Doo and Cyber Chase religiously, and I was obsessed with the way that Shaggy runs in it. It used to annoy the shit out of me, but if you can find a clip on YouTube, just watch him run. It's so stupid, and it used to wind me up as a kid. I'm like, go faster! If you weren't running like a dickhead, we'd be where we need to be right now.
I feel like this episode has been therapy for you, Liam, and you, Daisy, because you both just aired your Scooby-related trauma today. So progress.
I feel better now.
Yeah.
So
sleep now and be happy finally.
So Daisy, what recommendation have you brought to the table?
I also have a Scoobit Doobit film. It is Scooby Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes, I was waiting for it.
Thank you so much. Thank you to my fans, my friends, my followers. It is hands down, in my honest opinion, which is very humble, the best cartoons Scooby Doo movie ever. It is so good.
It is great.
It's just got everything. It's the outfit. It's the music, the song.
It's badass.
And
it really
it's
is.
one of those it's just one of those films that I had on DVD and I just watched over and over and over and over again. And I used to do this thing when I was younger, and I still do it now, much to Kyle's dismay, where I would watch. It's getting annoyed even. Doesn't matter. Where I would watch something when I went to bed, and I'd fall asleep. And then obviously because it was a DVD, the music from
the menu.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, it would just keep going, and I used to watch that when I was a kid, and so it would just be the music. But I also, the one that got Kyle was the Red Dwarf theme song.
Oh no.
Yeah, and the Goodies. The Goodies was the main one. I used to watch that on repeat, and it was just the same, goodies, goody, over and over. And I remember once, middle of the night, you just came in and turned it off.
Enough.
And I don't blame him.
I'd gone past the point. I was like,
yeah, with peace and love, shut the up. So yeah, I used to do that with that film, and I loved it so much. And I used to have bunk beds, so I used to watch Scooby Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, and then also watch Zombie Island. And I was on the top of my bunk bed, and my brother would be chilling in the bottom when he used to come into my room and just sort of stand there in the doorway. It's so that's what he would do, and then we would just watch Zombie Island. So key part of my childhood. So if you haven't watched it, don't know what you're doing with your life, grow up, watch it.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
Liam,
I agree.
How about you?
Well, two films. I'll start off with, maybe because we're on the theme of childhood films, I watched a film. I watched these two films this last month and absolutely adored them for very different reasons. So first one, I'll start with the kids film, was Turning Red from Pixar. I absolutely adored it. I think it's by far one of my favourite Pixar films. It's obviously not horror related, but I feel like I can mention it because we're talking about a kids film today. Just the stuff it tackles, Sandra Oh being one of the voices in it. Yeah. I'm just so down for it. So I don't want to spoil anything for you guys if you haven't seen it, but it will change your world and your mind. Okay. And the things it does for young people, I think, is incredible for an animated movie. So watch it. Second film is very much of the horror variety, and I believe it's now available on Disney Plus. And it would be Fresh, starring Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones, I believe. I'm not reading this, I know what I'm saying.
Daisy Edgar Jones.
I think I said that right. It's oh my god, it's great. I mean, it's gorgeous to look at. It's horrifying and makes you feel uncomfortable in the best ways. You might not like it, Daisy, if you don't really like gore. Kyle, you'll probably love it because boy, it's disgusting. My other half actually watched it before me and was like, this is vile in places, but you'll love it. So we checked it out, and then it's incredible. I'm not going to give too much away. It just very much speaks on the horrors of women dating in this current kind of society, and the way that men treat women, and then rug pull. There's like a nice twist, and it turns into a completely different movie. And also Sebastian Stan.
Oh yeah.
We stand Sebastian Stan.
I was sold at Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, he's just
Yes.
chef's kiss.
So I have bought two. I've bought a book and a film. I'm going to start off with the film.
You've bought a book.
I have.
You never bring books to recommendations. What?
So the first thing is a book, and it's Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost, mainly for the Hex Girls. Who shout at the Hex Girls, one of the greatest fictional bands ever created. In the third film, I would have had the Hex Girls appearing in that as well.
Yes,
and they would have been played by everyone who played Josie and the Pussycats in the live-action Josie and the Pussycats film. Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost, one of the best Scooby films ever. For my book this month, it's a book called Meddling Kids by Edgar by Edgar Cantero. It's a book that blends Scooby Doo with Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos. Right. Okay. So it's a fun read. It's a coming of age. It's horrifying. It has some great twists and turns. It really does tap into the vein of what if Scooby Doo approached real horror. It has beautiful cover art, and it's a really fun read. If you want something that you don't really have to think about too much, it's just a fun book. It's quite a short book as well. The dog in it is, oh my god, I was rooting for the dog the whole time. The humans could have done what they wanted, but I'm taking the dog, dumbass.
I got stretch marks and a fat ass.
Makes me want a hot dog real bad. Jennifer Coolidge. Jennifer
Coolidge is the only other person that could play Daphne with Fender.
Absolutely,
yeah.
So, I'm going to put you both on the spot now. Every month we have a real-life horror story. Have you bought us a real-life horror story to tell us?
Oh, Kyle's adjusting his glasses. I think he definitely has
Would you like to process the trauma in your sexual and romantic life? Now's the time to do so.
I have to honestly think about it, because this is the thing, is when you asked about it, I looked back over the sex I've had in my life. The Chronicles. And
yeah, sorry.
I always have great sex.
Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, okay, maybe I could tell you the worst one.
Yes.
So, the worst
I'm going to first before I dim the lights. I'm sorry.
Light the candles, dim the lights, you're in for a treat.
Alexa, get ready, babe. So, this is the bit where that spooky music plays under it as well. Have I got the spooky music going right
You've
now?
got the spooky music. There's no budget cuts on this show. We've got you sorted.
We spared no expense.
Yeah.
So, I'm 18 years old. Picture it. Me, but younger and happier.
Not worn down by the world.
Not just exhausted. And I'm speaking to this man, and it's maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and he lives far away, and I don't drive. And he says to me, well, I can come pick you up, because where I'm from, everything, the sort of cities are close together, maybe 10-minute drive. And he says to me, all right, that's okay, well, I'll just meet you at this place down the road, which down the road from me, because I lived on a country lane, was a graveyard.
Oh.
So me, 18 years old, with this man who's, I don't remember what age, to be completely honest with you, but we can cut that.
Should have known better. It's what we'll pop in there. Yeah,
should have known better age. And so I'm there at this graveyard at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Barbecue sauce on my titties.
I was sitting
thing.
Ready, just ready to be, to
wailed.
Or killed.
And slaughtered.
And this man shows up
with a shovel.
At close.
My pussy with a rake, mom.
He shows up in a white van.
I don't know. I'm kind of turned on.
I'm still in. I'll let you know when I tap out.
The typical like stranger danger. Me, 18 years old, have to go through all these lessons. A man shows up in a white van at a graveyard at 2:00 and goes, "Hey, get in," and I go,
"Okay,
yeah, sure." So this dude takes me back to his house, and it's all right. It's kind of like this weird, like empty flat-ish with like some furniture. Just looks very much like a single man kind of home. No furniture. Okay. So we get to the bedroom, and he's like a builder, so he's got all this like work gear on. So I sort of.
Oh my lord!
So I take it all off him.
Why? Keep those work trousers on.
Keep the timber boots on.
Everything but the utility belt.
I hadn't fully developed preferences.
Oh, okay.
So I do my thing, and get to the business of filleting said man, and I get maybe my shirt taken off, and he's already done and finished. So
that
I'm like,
so awful.
So he's just sort of lying there, and I'm like, okay, so you can take me home now. And then on the drive back, he takes me home, and then on the drive back, gives me a lecture about meeting strangers in public.
The call is coming from inside the house.
He's like, I know you're.
Let that be a lesson to you. I mean.
Typical man.
Anything could have happened.
The fucking audacity of that. Oh god.
He's just sitting there like, yeah, you should be really careful with people you meet online. And I'm just like, mate, your was just in my and then your sir.
I'd be like, listen here, haunted hole. Like, you met me in a cemetery at 2 a.m. We're not going to go around judging people.
I would have just, fully pretended to be like an apparition or something at that point. I'd be like, you have to drop me off at the cemetery, and then just disappear. He'd be like, oh my god, was that guy alive?
A white sheet on with 2 cut-out holes.
Ooh, I'm a ghost.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Do let that be a lesson to you all.
Stranger danger is real, folks.
Stranger danger.
You're in danger, girl.
I've walked so you could run. Thank you, everyone.
Well,
what's worrying though is the fact that none of us tapped out. None of us tapped out. We were all there.
even after he was gone in 60 seconds, I was like, what's next? So I have quite a lengthy story this month. It's a submission by a good friend of mine. You know who you are. I didn't ask if you wanted to remain anonymous, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to respect our friendship and just keep you anonymous for now.
We'll tag you if you want to be known.
We'll Photoshop you in a scene that recreates this. So, the most recent episode of Grindr Horror Stories got me thinking about something that happened to me while traveling. I wish I could say that I made even one part of this story up, but no, it's all true. I had just landed in New Orleans that day. Being 3 years sober, instead of going to clubs and bars on a night, I would go to a cinema. So after dropping my bag off at the hostel I was staying at, I decided to scope out the area and find the nearest cinema. During my walk around, I received a message on Grindr from an attractive, tall gay man in his late 20s with dark hair. His message was rather innocent, asking me if I was free that evening, and after saying I was planning to see a film, he asked if he could join. Having had little social interaction the past week while travelling, I accepted, and he picked me up at 8 p.m. Upon getting into the car, he expressed his hunger to get some chicken wings and claimed he knew the best place in town. He drove around for 50 minutes, eventually parking outside of a Hooters.
50 minutes?
That's the best
50.
50?
Yeah. So, parking outside...
Done. Run.
Yeah.
I'm out.
So I was confused at this point why 2 gay men would go to Hooters. While in there, a woman in short shorts and tight crop top took us to our table at the front of the establishment, proceeding to put her leg up on the chair next to me whilst asking what I would like to drink, almost revealing her kebab. The grinder man managed to easily ignore all flirting the woman put on, all whilst devouring and tearing at his chicken wings. After finishing 3 plates of wings, he had food smeared on his face, which he did not wipe off for all of half an hour. This should have been my first hint of what else was to come. After going to a viewing of a late showing of Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which is a horror story in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
My date asked if I would go back to his, which I naively went along with. Upon arriving at his house, he opened the door, and what can only be described as an overpowering stench flew into my face. The house was disgusting. The grinder man waded through empty pizza box, ice cream tubs, and mould, bags of rubbish and old electrical wires to sit on a stained brown sofa. He asked me to come sit next to him, moving some wrappers for a second seat. After politely declining, he asked if I could go to the freezer, as he had some Ben & Jerry's in there that we could share.
I'm back with this guy.
When I returned with the ice cream, he pulled out a spoon from between the sofa cushions.
See you later, fam. Bye.
Instantly repulsed, I decided I wouldn't be eating the ice cream. However, Grinder Man had a different thing in mind. He asked me to feed the ice cream to him. At this point, I'm overwhelmed. I asked to go to the bathroom, partly so I can come up with a plan of how to leave. He tells me that the only bathroom in the house is an ensuite to his bedroom. I walk through his bedroom to see his bed. There was no bottom-fitted sheet, just a bare mattress, and the duvet was a Dora the Explorer set.
I'm definitely back in.
Can you find the ice cream?
Can you say red flags? So I soldier through to hide in the toilet, to think, locking the door behind me. I look down at the toilet, and there, square in front of me, is a huge log staring me straight in the face. Quicker than I've ever made any decision in my life, I marched out of the bathroom and asked the grinder man to take me back to my hostel. He asked why, and I respond by saying I didn't realise the time, and that if I stay out overnight, my bag should be thrown out by hostel staff as they lock the door after a certain time. And so he drives me back to a clean, mould-free hostel. It's not over yet. 3 days later, a hurricane is due to hit New Orleans.
Oh no.
Everything had shut, and having never experienced a hurricane before, I'm stuck with what to do. So I stay in the hostel to stay safe. My grinder pings just after a curfew is put into place. It's the grinder man, and he's asking if I want him to pick me up so I can stay with him for the night, as his house is out of the hurricane's predicted path. I did not reply. I chose the potential death over dick. And that's your Grindr horror story this month.
What is with these people in these homes? Like,
why?
He didn't flush the toilet. That's
clean up.
Disgusting.
It was funniest.
I just say, also, the Grinder Man is a great name for a horror movie icon.
Yes.
Noting it down. Oh my lord.
I would have tapped out, but then when the mention of Ben & Jerry's was there, I'd have been like, if it's Chunky Monkey, I'm back in.
I would have heard it and been like, maybe I can fix him, you know, like that.
Yeah. My toxic trait is thinking maybe I can fix this.
I can channel my inner Kim Woodburn.
This isn't you.
Chicken livered shits.
Filth. Start with me, dear. It's just what gets me, the bit that got me the most was like producing the spoon from the middle of the sofa cushions.
Like, how long has that been there?
Also, is this like a go-to move? Is this just something he does?
Some messed up Blue Peter, here's what I made earlier.
Where's his badge? It's just the way that people are so creepy. Like, obviously, this probably won't make the cut. I mean, it can if you want. But I had a guy that I'd met off of Tinder, and we were talking for like less than 24 hours. We had a brief chat, and then we both went to work the next day. And then in the evening, I messaged him being like, "Hey, how was your day?" He then proceeded to send me multiple messages of being like, "Oh, I was watching you dance this morning," and pulled up a video that I had made 2 years prior from my Twitter that I had not given him. Dead ass. I have the messages.
I was watching you dance this morning. Oh my god.
So I'd on my Twitter, and he was like, I put in Daisy actor Edinburgh and found it, and then he was like, I saw your dress up photos, and I was like, what the f*** does that? I don't have dress up photos.
You do now.
Is that?
You just stuck your head on someone else's body. He's like, yeah.
And then he went, sorry if this is dead weird, and then went, was that too weird? And I was like, yes.
Yes. Was that too much?
And then I responded in like the nicest way I could by basically being like, hey, we've literally known each other like hardly any time at all. Yeah, this is a bit weird.
That's a lie. She didn't do that. She sent him a video of expressive dance. She was like, I'm not interested. Yeah. Box stepping her way through that bitch.
He then, look at that.
Oh my god. For the listeners at home, there seems to be some sort of dissertation on Daisy's phone.
I swear, some of the texts include, it wasn't meant to be taken in that way. I won't apologise. Followed swiftly by, sorry.
Right. If men have one thing, it is the f***ing audacity.
Yeah. He claimed to be a nice guy. He was like, only in 2021 could such a thing be taken that way. If anything, it should be flattering that I wanted to find out more about you.
Oh yeah,
and I
flattered
was excited about the other stuff I found. But if you want to bowl me to the gutter for being enthusiastic, go ahead. I mean, it takes 2 clicks to find you. But if you prefer guys to be cold, if that's what you're into, then whatever. Romance is dead. And I was like, blocked. And I'm like, I just want a little PSA for anyone who's listening who thinks that is the right behaviour. Mm-hmm. It's not. And if you do that, you're a weirdo.
And you will be called out on podcasts like this. And
from Tinder, 41 if you're listening. You weirdo.
I mean, let's be honest, he definitely is listening. He's keeping up with all of your projects.
He's actually in Korea.
I was going to say, he's on the plane to Korea right now.
It's the podcast takes a turn. Jeez,
yeah.
Well, I have had an absolute ball of a time. So thank you both so much for coming on. If you want to, quickly shout out all of your socials, where to find you both. I'll just start it off by saying, if you aren't listening to the Bitchcraft and Faggotry podcast, you're only getting half the story. You need to...
I was literally going to say that earlier. I was thinking, how can I say this on the bus on the way home? I was thinking, Untucked. I'm going to go with Untucked.
But honestly, I really love listening to you both. You make me laugh and also make me think at the same time. Not many people get to do that. So congrats. I love what you do. So I'll hand it over to you both.
Plug it up.
Well, I guess we should start by saying thank you so much for having us. Like we had we weren't even. I mean, we maybe introduced maybe 2-3 episodes before you asked us to do this. So that's a lot of faith to put in us as a small podcast. So I do actually want to say thank you to both of you for that, because
you're welcome.
We don't know shit.
It's very clear by our just everything that we don't know.
Shrek and Premiere.
Unless it's about Premiere and Shrek.
and fucking I hate Scrappy Doo.
So you can find us everywhere at the B&F Pod on Instagram, and that's got a link tree that just shows you everything that we do, everywhere we post, things that we talk about. It's really all on Instagram. So
you can find Daisy's Twitter if you just search Daisy.
Daisy actor Edinburgh. Takes 2 clicks, get quick.
So that's us. If you enjoyed the chaos that we have brought to this space that was once good,
it is a old maiden type of podcast.
Never again.
We are an old maiden type of podcast, and if that's the kind of thing you vibe with. Someone told us several
times as a reply.
I want to pause for a moment. That is modern art. Tiffany Pollard. But my favourite thing is the way she says, I would pretty much let Gemma know she is a fat
and the shoes that she wore were not. They were an old maiden.
Type of shoes.
If I ever get back into my directing gig and I need people to audition for me, That's how I'm going to get people to audition for me. Can you please read this monologue?
A dramatic reading of Tiffany Pollard.
I would pretty much like to let Gemma know. Lights down.
And I'd be like, that's good, but I wasn't really feeling it.
Sort of cold wash.
Could you try that in maybe a Russian accent?
Pretty much, I would let Gemma know.
It were an old maiden type of shoe.
But can we put this on your show reel? Well, speaking of social media, this month you have all been treated to an absolute divine little snack. We have launched our fantastic Instagram page. Me and Liam got together and did a cute little photo shoot, so you can go and check that out, where I look like the skinniest of legends, thanks to
skinny legend.
Wonder of editing and good lighting. So
girls,
you two are getting to see what we really look like, and then you'll see us on Instagram and you'll be like, who are those guys? Because we did not see those people.
What kind of Scooby Doo
if it wasn't for those meddling kids?
No, I promise we will like and share, because that is what true girl bosses do in solidarity.
The girls
not a pyramid scheme.
I mean, we are the definition of gaslight with those photos.
I mean, next month's Grinder Horror Story just needs to be our pictures, because catfish is. I mean,
speak
the
for
fish
yourself.
of the day.
I'm speaking for myself. Like, that is me. Like, the pictures I post on my Instagram are like fairly decent, and then it's me turn up looking like the like Miss Trunchbull.
I'm just there on I'm just there on Facetune, just like smooth.
Honestly, if Liam turned sideways in these pictures, he'd just disappear. he's that skinny. He's skinny.
He's not skinny. I'm too skinny and petite. I might float away.
So if you want to join us next month, we will be discussing the 1963 original The Haunting, and we will be with Craig Fisher, who will be joining us and talking all things gay. We haven't done classic yet.
We haven't. It's going to be a throwback in time. Oh, yeah. Insert Kylie clip here. That was so gay. I'm never doing that again. Wow. Shame. Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a very spooky episode. It's going to be fun. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for joining us on this episode. It's been amazing. I literally feel like I'm about to die because I've laughed so much. So thank you. I hope people at home have laughed as much.
And I'm just speaking this into existence. We need to come on to yours at some time, because I'd love to just shoot the shit again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please,
yeah, we'd love to.
We should do it. Yeah, we should just do a horror films in general episode with you guys as our theme. And aim to talk about it as we do with every episode. And just not talk about it.
I 100% am down for getting absolutely blind drunk while we're doing it as well. I'm just going to put that out there. So that'll be an experience for us. So yeah, I guess the only thing left to say then is goodbye. We'll see you next month. And if you guys want to sign us off, that would be absolutely great.
So, until next time, remember that closets were not made for people. They were made for monsters and babysitter killers.
I know you guys say, oh, bye.
Nailed it.
Great.
Thank you.
Podcast on the Super Freak Media Podcast Network. To show your support, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And you can find us on social media in the links in the description of this episode. Thank you for listening.